Hey, hope you're having a great day. Today I really don't know what it's going to be about. I don't know. Let's just talk about it. So, it's been really kind of I don't know, a crazy whirlwind of different emotions with all the holidays coming around and different things going on with the kids and things like that. And it's just busy. And you don't realize how busy it gets until you realize how busy you are. And then you finally get a moment to stop and relax, and that's what you do. So, how do you handle those busy moments? Or the times where you're like, dude, I just need to chill. Do you chill? Do you take a mental break? We all need that. It's okay to rest. We need our rest. Here it was how I found myself. It didn't work out. Like today was the third day in a row. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, I'm just not feeling this. Like it's 3 days in a row. And I don't know, like, what is going on? And I think everything just clicked in my head. Like, now is the time where I'm supposed to be working out and I'm supposed to be hitting it hard every single day. And then my head, it just clicks with me back to when I started lifting, and I thought I needed to lift every single day. And if you said rest day to me, I was like, no, I'm cool. Like, we're not doing a rest day. Like, that can't happen. So over the years, I've learned, I love my rest days and they're so important. But 3 days, like day 3, and I sat here and I was like, dude. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't get in my head. Like, I seriously got in my head about it. And for what? Like, seriously, for what? Like, I don't even know why. So, what do you get in your head about? What do you get in your head to where you're pushing and pushing and pushing yourself, and then it kind of eases up for a little while, and then you're so hard on yourself. You don't give yourself any grace. It's like you don't realize you needed that rest time. You can't just go, 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 go. You got to have that chill time, you know? So what do you do for that time? For me, I relaxed. Like I totally just relaxed. And I love those times. I love them. But it doesn't mean that mentally it didn't hit me hard. And, my brain was telling me, girl, what are you doing? My brain was trying to tell me I was off. I wasn't upholding to the plan. Like I wasn't doing what needs to be done. And I had to shut it down. Like I really had to shut that talk down. Because I don't know, I just couldn't, it's not true. It's lies. So you can't let yourself believe it. And then I think I got so deep in it. And I was trying to do something and I found an old picture, an old video, and I scrolled back and I said, man, I've come a long way. I've really come a long way. And in that journey of coming a long way, there have been many rest days, mentally and physically. Just many rest days along the way because your body needs to heal and your mind needs to heal. So as I was looking at those, I'm like, yeah, it all plays a part. Everything comes together. All the pieces have to fit and they all just go together. But see, it's during these times of year to where I've always felt like I need to stay busy. Like I seriously need to stay busy constantly over and over. And I need to continue to stay busy or just memories will just flood through my head. And sometimes I don't want those memories to flood through my head. I don't want the sad times. I don't want to remember those times. So I've always felt like I just need to stay busy constantly. And I know that's not a cool thing. I know that's not a cool thing. So what I intentionally do is I set certain goals for myself during this time because I know if I'm just going and focusing on those certain things, I'm going to be focused on them, but I'm not going to be like super busy. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to stay so busy to the max to where if a memory does pop in my head, then it pops in my head, And I feel like sometimes I need those, I remind myself that those memories, one day I'm going to miss them. I don't care whether they're angry memories, sad memories, happy memories, but one day I'm going to miss those. So while I can remember them, I need to hang on to those. So, but darn it, it's like, it's hard sometimes because I don't want to cry over it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cry over certain things. And sometimes I don't want to laugh over certain things, and I don't want to smile about certain things. Sometimes I don't even want to remember them. I seriously don't want to remember them. And some things I do want to remember and I can't. So I'm like, dude, why? Why can't those certain memories pop in my head? Like, why can I remember things that I wish would get out of my brain? And I can sit in those things and they can just go on and I can't change them at all. And would I want to change them? I would be lying if I said that I didn't. Like, I don't completely want to change how things went down or anything like that. But for a moment, if I could just say one more thing, that's the part I'd want to change. If I would know that certain times would be the last time, then that's what I would want to change. I would want to change the words that I was going to say. Maybe that would be it. But man, it's like, why? Why do those things pop in your head? And then it reminds me that those things pop in my head because there's like people I loved and people I cared about, and those memories are special. And I have people to share those memories with, whether they're sad memories, happy memories, whatever they are, and I need to share them. So if they're there, they're there. And that's what I've had to remind myself that over and over. And I'm going to constantly have to remind myself over and over about that. So if you're at that point and you just keep getting so frustrated at yourself because you don't know how you're going to move forward, you don't know what you're going to do, just tell yourself just for today, that if that one memory pops in your head, you're just going to deal with it just for today. And it's going to be okay. And it popped in your head for a reason. And that's the thing that it's taken me so long to realize that. And so long from the aspect of, I think there were little things that have always popped in my head. And maybe I turned a blind eye. Maybe I didn't really understand what was going on. Maybe I just didn't want to feel a certain way. So I just ignored it, like point blank. Maybe I just ignored it. I was very good at ignoring things when stuff would pop in my head. Like, that was like my specialty. Just ignore it, push the button, move on, Like, but you can only ignore something for so long before it comes up even worse than what it was before. And all I have to say is just sit in those moments. Just sit there, Be thankful for those moments. I had someone ask me one time when about a year before my mom died, a friend of mine was murdered. And my friend asked me, he said, okay, so is it easier if someone dies and it's suddenly, or is it easier if someone has an illness and they die? And I sat there for a moment and it really made me think, And I said, well, no part of it's easy. But at least in the moment where someone has an illness and you know that they're going to pass away, at least you can tell them everything that you need to tell them. At least you can say everything you need to say. At least you can have all the moments that you wish you had with them, At least you can do all of those things. When someone dies suddenly, you don't get to say those things. You don't get to say I love you. You don't get to say, hey, thanks for everything you've ever done for me. Thank you for always being there for me. Like, you've been so awesome, you know? So when my friend was murdered, I didn't get to say those things to her, you know? So that it made me reflect on that when he asked me that question, because it really makes you think. So many times I see people and they kind of don't know what to do, so they act like something doesn't exist, you know? But we're all going to die, you know? That's one thing we're guaranteed. Like, we're going to die, you know? And it's something we need to talk about. We seriously need to talk about it. And so many people are uncomfortable about talking about it. Well, I'm not that person. I'm seriously not uncomfortable about it. And I will talk about it in an instant. And the thing is that when I was going through things with my mom didn't want to talk about things. She didn't want to talk about them at all. Like they just didn't exist. And it was very, very difficult for me. Just super difficult. And so what I learned along the way is that that part changed me. Like, it really, really changed me, you know? And I became that person that after I was so bitter and angry for so long, you know? And then when my grandma and my aunt passed away, I was in a different kind of like a numb state. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I wasn't, going through all that again, but I was just numb. But what it made me realize before that, after I got out of the whole bitter and angry and all of that, it made me realize that I was going to be that person that would always tell you how I felt. And I just don't care if you want to hear it or not. Like, I don't care. I'm going to be that person that sends you that text that you may not want to read, or that text that I'm going to be known for sending you like a paragraph, you know? So don't open it until you actually have time to read it, because you're not going to be able to read it. It's not going to be a quick glance, But I'm that person. And I'm that person that's always going to tell you how much I appreciate you. I'm that person that's always going to tell you what you mean to me. I'm that person that's always going to say thank you. And if I'm in the wrong, I'm going to apologize, Those things have taught me that. It's taught me that life is short, and there's a lot of things around us to where we got to get back to the basics, because we got to be intentional, like super intentional. And that's what it's taught me. Like, I'm very intentional with my relationships. Very intentional. That's very important to me because I'm a relationships person. Like, that's very important to me. Things don't matter. Things do not matter to me at all. I've had things, I've lost things. What's important is people, they're important. So that's what we have to realize. And that's what I see a lot of, is I see a lot of people, and maybe they don't know, because I didn't know. Like, I seriously did not know. I was not a person that would tell you any of my feelings. I would not talk to you about my feelings. I just wouldn't do any of that until I went through it. Until I knew that that's what I needed to do. Like, I needed to do that, because there could be a time where I would wake up and my friend that I hadn't seen in a while was gone, and I'd never be able to tell her those things. So it taught me a lot of things. It taught me that things aren't transactional, that relational, and be intentional with your relationships. So when you're going through something, and this time of year may get to you really bad, like say you're going somewhere and people are running around, they're in a hurry, or they're doing this, they're doing that, and you may get up there to pay for something and something goes wrong during their transaction and it's taken too long, and all of a sudden you want to get irate. Just take a deep breath. Get it in check. Control your emotions, and just don't act like that. Because that person behind the counter, doesn't want to be going through it either. And they've heard probably a whole bunch of worse stuff from about many more people in front of you. So just be that person that they can remember for that one time that brightened their day. You know, the same thing if you're anywhere you're going. You don't know what the person on the other side of that is going through. You don't know why they're acting like they are. Give them grace. You don't know what they're facing. You don't know what's going on. It's in those moments that you can take a step back and you can look and you can say, everything around me, my whole world can be spinning. And it can be spinning in total chaos, mass confusion, and just everything going everywhere. But you know what? Your joy is found in Jesus. So no matter what goes on, and no matter how much it's spinning around you, you're going to take a deep breath, get your emotions in check, and then you're going to proceed forward. Then you're going to make your decision. None of your decisions are going to be made from emotions. Because when the emotion steps in, it's never the right decision. It just never is. When your feelings are there, you can't make a good decision. So just take a step back. And I know during this time, I know that it's so chaotic and it can be super hard. Go ahead and tell yourself, nope, it's not chaotic. Nope, it's not going to be difficult today. Nope, it's going to be amazing. Because you know why? You've survived 100% of your worst days, and you're going to survive this day. And if you keep telling yourself that the day that you're facing is going to be such a bad day, then you know what? All you're going to see is bad around you. You're not going to see that beautiful sunrise or all the flowers that are overshadowing that weed over there. You're not going to see that. All you're going to see is that one little weed that's sticking out. Or you're going to see the gloomy rain. Or you're going to see that it gets dark at 5 o'clock. You can always find something to complain about. But I challenge you that instead of always finding something to complain about, find 3 things to always be grateful for and to always be thankful for. 3 things to say, I woke up today. God's blessed me with this day. And I'm going to make the most of this day. You have air in your lungs. You get to go to a job. Yeah, say you get to go to your job. Not everyone gets to go to a job. You get to come home to a house. Not everyone gets to come home to a house. You get to come home to your kids. Even when they get on your worst nerves, some people don't get to come home to their kids. You get to come home to your spouse. Even though they get on your nerves too. Some people don't get to come home to their spouse. Do you see where I'm getting at? There's always something to be grateful for. And yes, there's always something you can complain about. But wouldn't you rather complain about how you're going to change this thing that went wrong in your day? How you're going to flip it around? Take that complaint and just make it so great. Say how you're going to fix it. So then I challenge you with this. Whenever you come up with a problem, I don't want you to talk about it until you have a solution for it. As soon as you start to say what an issue is, and as soon as you start to complain about it, if it's taking up that much space in your head and you're letting it live there rent free, then we got to come up with a solution for it, or you need to drop it because you don't need to focus on it. It's going to take so much time. And during this time of year, your focus doesn't need to go on that. Your focus needs to go with the people around you, celebrating these times, celebrating how wonderful your life is. I don't care if you've had the worst day ever. You're still alive. Your life is still awesome because you're still alive. So if you see a problem, have the solution for it before you start complaining about it. If you don't have a solution, don't complain about it. Talk about how grateful you are. And that's going to flip everything in your brain. You're going to see things differently. You're going to see things that you didn't even realize were there before, all because your outlook has switched. All because that switch inside your head has been flipped. You're not seeing all the bad. You're choosing to see the good. And that good is always going to outweigh the bad around you. And then the people around you, your kids, everyone else, is going to change their outlook. Instead of coming to complain to you about something, They're going to come to you, tell you that something's going on, and then they're going to tell you how they're going to fix it. You see where I'm going there? That's how we're going to flip this. That's how we make this better. That's how we get through this time. That's where we're going to shift our focus. And then as you're doing that, memories may pop in your head, and then you're going to sit with them for a minute. And yeah, you may cry. You may smile. You may laugh. But then take a deep breath and be thankful. Be thankful for those memories. Because one day, you're not going to remember those things. One day, you're not going to have that video of your loved one. One day, you're not going to remember their voice. One day, you're not going to have that picture. One day, you're going to try and close your eyes, and you're going to try so hard to remember their voice, and you're not going to be able to. And then you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to try to remember what they looked like, and you're not going to be able to. So I want you to sit with those moments and just be thankful for them. Be thankful that you have them. Cherish them. Hold on to them. Tell them to the people around you so that those memories continue. And then one day, it might be like how I was. And I looked in the mirror one day and I was like, oh my goodness, like I'm really looking like my mom now. And that hit me. Like it really hit me because during this time of year, I don't want to look in the mirror and see my mom. I don't want to. And full transparency, I really don't know if I ever want to look in the mirror and see my mom. Hear me out. Just hear me out, because to me, when I've gone through something and I've dealt with it and I've moved forward, I don't need it to be brought up over and over again. Okay. Like say, for example, if someone commits a horrible crime, okay, they do their time, but they get out. And every time, no matter where they go, they're reminded of what they did in the past. That's how I see it when I look in the mirror and I see my mom. It's kind of like I'm taken backwards. And I don't like to go backwards. I've moved on from a spot and I don't need to revisit it, But then I think maybe I do need to revisit it for that moment. Because if I looked in the mirror and I saw my mom for that moment, maybe I need to cherish that too. And I need to sit with that and I need to be thankful. It was kind of like one time when my mom passed away and we had to put her in a different, I don't know what you call those, a little niche or something. We had to put her in the niche with my grandpa because we didn't have one for her yet. So we did that, and we went through that and everything. And then my grandma got one for my mom. And we had another ceremony to move my mom from one spot to another. So my mom's friend was there. And she was like, oh, isn't this so, so good? You get to do this. And I just kind of looked at her, and she wasn't meaning anything bad by it or anything wrong or trying to hurt anyone's feelings, anything like that. She wasn't coming from that place. But I looked at her and I said, because it was like 2 years later, I looked at her and I said, no, I'm not happy I get to do this. I'm only here for my grandma. Because to me, that day opened up bad wounds and it opened up things that I thought I already healed from. And I already laid my mom to rest one time. And I didn't need to go through all those emotions again. I didn't need to do all that again. The only reason why I was there was because my grandma needed to do it. And so that's why I was there. But I didn't want to reopen things. I didn't want to go down that road. I blocked off that road. I burned the road. The road was gone, like completely flooded. I didn't want to go down that road again, but I did it for my grandma, And so there are some things that, even though we may think we're kind of past it a little bit, that things come up and we just revisit them. But just put in perspective how you revisit it. Okay? So try this. This is what's helped me quite a bit, and maybe it'll help you. What I try to do is when something pops in my head and I revisit it, I own those thoughts. I take them captive. I don't let them own me. I don't let them spin things. I don't let them take me down a bad path. And oh, what if, and if only this were different, and I miss them so much, and I wish they were here, and yada, 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 and every other thing in the book. Don't do that. Yeah, those are nice. Yeah, you do miss them. Yeah, you wish they were here, this and that. There's a difference between saying it and then saying it and staying in that place. And you know what I'm talking about, because I know you've stayed in that place before. I know you have. You're human. We've all stayed in that place before. But that place will take you under. It'll slowly take you under. It's kind of like when you're at the bottom. Sometimes, you know how you may get, picture it like this. So one time when I had those feelings before, the only way I could describe it was, it's like I was at the bottom of this well, okay? And every time I went to climb out, I would get up a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And then all of a sudden my hands would get knocked down and I couldn't climb back up. It was just all these emotions would kick back in again. So then I'd climb a little bit farther, and this wall was never ending, because as soon as I'd start to go, emotions would flood and I'd lose grip. And so I'm at the bottom of this well over and over, and I'm like, how do I get out of the bottom of this well? How do I keep going forward? How do I get up there? Because the bricks aren't sticking out far enough, and I keep losing my grip. I had to take control of those emotions. I had to spin them. I couldn't wallow in them. I couldn't let them control me. I couldn't let them have my life like they did so long. And then a lot of it also was, as soon as I kept climbing up the wall, I just felt like I had to do everything on my own. I had to face it all on my own. All these emotions coming in from everywhere, and they were mine to deal with. I needed to just, no one else needed to know about it, you know? And then one of the huge weights that helped me so much was, it was kind of like finally when it's like I was trying to get out of the bottom of the well, and I just completely surrendered. And I was like, okay, I need help, you know? I was like, hey. And it was like this weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I can picture it, and kind of like Jesus's hand was right there waiting for me the entire time. And he helped me, you know? He helped me out of there. And I never felt like that weight was on my shoulders anymore, because I turned it over. It was too big for me to carry. I couldn't do it. And then it would dawn on me, like sometimes I would sit there and when I didn't feel like doing something, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to do it later, this and that. Or, you know, when I first found Jesus, and I was like, I'm just going to, you know, I'm still going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then, man, it took me some years, and it hit me like plain as day. Like God put me in check again. And the one time when I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna, you know, do this a little bit later. And I forget what it was. And it was like plain as day. I could hear Jesus talking to me. And it was like when he went to the cross and he kept walking, he didn't turn around and say, well, hold on a minute. I need 5 more minutes. I need 10 more minutes. Like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to do this at all. Just give me some time. He didn't do that. He knew that he was going to die. He knew that that's what it was. That's what was going to happen. But he didn't turn around. He didn't give up. He did exactly what he was meant to do. And then it put me in check in the aspect of, when I say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or just give me 5 more minutes. Why? Why do I think I'm any better than Jesus? Like, how could I have the audacity to even act like that when he knew what he was facing, and he still went up there and he died completely sinless for my sins? And I'm going to say, well, I don't feel like doing it right now, or just give me 5 more minutes, wait till tomorrow. No, that's just not cool with me. And the moment that I felt that, it was like this complete straight conviction. Like, there is no half in and there's no half out. Like, you're either all there or you're not. You can't have one foot in the world and one foot out. You can't be on your terms when you feel like doing things. That's just not how it is, you know? So that's what hit me. And that's how it was hit to me. And when I talk to people about it, that's exactly what I tell them, because that's what I just picture. And it still pops in my head every time when I start to say, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. When I start to say that to myself, that pops in my head. I'm like, okay, here I go. Nope, it's not going to happen. So as you're going through this stuff, and just one, quit being so hard on yourself. 2, give yourself grace. 3, sit with your emotions for a moment. Don't wallow in them. There's a big difference. Sit with them. That means acknowledge them, know where they came from, put them in check, and then go to the next one, but do not wallow in them at all. And sit with the memory. Be thankful for the memory. If you need to write this stuff down, write it down. If you need to talk about it, talk about it. Whatever you need to do. And then those emotions will come up, but you're not going to let them make your decisions. You're not going to make decisions from emotions. You're not going to do that because they're not going to be good decisions. So when you're facing hard times during this time of year, because you're going to face them, just do those things and say how grateful you are. And say the people that you loved, that you were lucky to know them, that they were amazing. Think of the impact they had on your life. Think of how much you loved them. Think of how much joy they brought to you, how mad they made you, because you'd be lying if you said they didn't make you mad sometimes. Come on now. And just laugh and smile and just share their memory. Some people aren't going to be able to hear it. Some people cannot. It's something within them. Has nothing to do with you, but they're not going to be able to hear you talk about people that aren't living. And that's okay. It's completely okay, because that has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. So if you need to talk about them, talk about them. If you need to make an ornament every single year and create a new tradition, make that your new family tradition that you're going to pass on in a way to honor them and a way to keep their memory alive. So instead of being sad or mopey and letting the whole season pass you by, you're going to flip it. You're going to have, in years to come, you're going to have all these different ornaments or all these different, whatever you choose to do. But this is going to be your new tradition. Maybe you like to cook things. Maybe you like to bake. You're going to come up with a new recipe. And that recipe is going to be passed down from generation to generation for them, in their honor, and a way to remember them. There's so many things we can do. So just try that. Just try to flip it. Write it down, flip it, and it's all going to be okay. You've survived 100% of your worst days. You're going to survive this, and it's going to be okay. So, hey, I'm just going to leave you with that, and that was just on my heart. So I just had to share. So, have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.